The poppy is worn every year to commemorate those that lost their lives in conflict and in the service of their country. Many people may not be familiar with the origins and history of the poppy and why it is worn in November every year in the United Kingdom, but also by individuals in other nations such as Canada, Australia and New Zealand. Here are 7 facts about the decoration. Number 1. Origins. The poppy became a symbol of remembrance due to the famous World War I poem In Flanders Fields that was written in 1915 by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, a Canadian soldier. The sight of the poppies on the battle-scarred fields inspired the poem, which highlighted the flower's significance. McCrae's poem was published in Punch magazine in December 1915 and quickly gained popularity. Its vivid imagery and emotional resonance struck a chord with readers, leading to the adoption of the poppy as a symbol of remembrance. The red poppy came to represent the bloodshed and sacrifice of the soldiers, while also embodying the hope and rebirth represented by the resilient flowers that continued to bloom despite the ravages of war. Sadly, McCrae did not survive the war, dying in January 1918 of disease. Number 2. The first Poppy Day. The first Poppy Day was held on November the 11th, 1921 by the Royal British Legion, but it was an American that got the idea of the poppy going. This Poppy Day was aimed at raising funds to support veterans and those affected by World War I, known at the time as the Great War. Aside from the dead, approximately 23 million military personnel were wounded on all sides, with the British alone suffering 240,000 partial or total leg amputations during the 4 years of the conflict. The idea of using poppies as a symbol of remembrance and a means to aid war veterans was inspired by Mona Michael, an American professor who was deeply moved by John McCrae's poem In Flanders Fields. She began to wear and distribute silk poppies in honour of the fallen soldiers. The idea quickly spread to Europe, and the newly formed British Legion adopted the poppy as its emblem. The poppies were initially made by women and children in the devastated areas of France, providing them with much needed income. By selling around 9 million poppies, the Legion raised significant funds to help support veterans with financial, medical and employment needs. So popular was this that a permanent poppy factory was set up in 1926, staffed by veterans and known as Lady Haig's Poppy Factory. The poppy became not just a symbol in the UK, but also recognised and worn in countries such as Canada, Australia, New Zealand and the United States, often with variations in design and use. Number 3. Materials. Originally, the poppies were made of silk. Today, they are primarily made of paper and plastic to ensure they are lightweight and easy to wear. In recent years, label pin badges representing football clubs, social organisations, as well as military branches or regiments have been introduced. So, if you are a steely-eyed submariner, you can wear a dolphin variation, a cutting-edge commando, the globe and laurel, or even parachute rings for the proud para. These badges are also worn by family members of veterans to honour that particular unit in which the relative served. Number 4. Cenotaph. The cenotaph, which means empty tomb in Greek, serves as a focal point for national remembrance ceremonies. In the UK, every year on Remembrance Sunday, a national service is held at the Cenotaph in central London to commemorate the contributions and sacrifices of British and Commonwealth military personnel. This event is attended by members of the royal family, government officials and the public. Designed by Sir Edwin Lutyens, the Cenotaph is celebrated for its simplicity and elegance. Its design has been replicated in other countries, making it an internationally recognised symbol of war memorials. Originally erected in 1919 as a temporary structure, it was so well received that a permanent one was unveiled by King George V on Armistice Day 1920. The poppy and the cenotaph have been intertwined as both powerful symbols of remembrance. The cenotaph is also associated with the interment of the unknown warrior at Westminster Abbey, symbolising all the unidentified soldiers who died in the war. The cenotaph has become an integral part of British culture, representing the nation's collective memory and respect for those who have served in her conflicts. Number 5. Lest we forget. Lest we forget is a phrase commonly used during remembrance ceremonies, particularly on Remembrance Day and also Anzac Day, to honour and remember those who have served and sacrificed in wars and conflicts. The phrase originates from the poem Recessional by Rudyard Kipling, written in 1897, where it was used to remind the British Empire to remain humble and mindful of their responsibilities. Over time, it has become a poignant and powerful expression of remembrance and respect. Number 6. The Poppy Appeal. Over the years and continuing conflicts, the Royal British Legion conducts the Poppy Appeal to raise funds for the welfare of veterans, serving members of the armed forces and their families. The appeal generates millions of pounds annually. Number 7. The White Poppy. In addition to the traditional red poppy, first introduced in 1933, the white poppy is worn by some as a symbol of peace and to commemorate all victims of war, not just military personnel. Some people choose to wear both the red and the white poppies together to honour all victims of war and show their commitment to peace. While the white poppy is most commonly associated with the UK, it is also recognised and worn in other countries such as New Zealand and Australia. However, it has been viewed by some as a subject of controversy, challenging the traditional red poppy and its symbolism. Therefore, in conclusion, the poppy was inspired by a Canadian colonel with a poem in World War I. The first Poppy Day occurred in 1921. The poppy was initially made of silk, but now ranges from paper to plastic and various variations. The poppy is closely linked with the national memorial of the Cenotaph. The common term "lest we forget" used in ceremonies originated from a poem by Rudyard Kipling. The annual Poppy Appeal continues to raise funds for veterans and their families. And finally, a white poppy was also introduced in 1933 as a symbol of peace. Thanks for watching, and I hope you gained some value from this.